Thank you so much for coming to the Out of Time Spiritual Healing Seminar class. Really great that you're here, that you made it, that you could carve out some time out of your busy schedule and just to be here, to relax and to receive some inspiration in the awakening process that you find yourself in. So today, the first class of this Out of Time spiritual healing class, and that's always kind of new. Then we have to find our way into it together. So I prepared some ingredients, so to speak. So one of them is a meditation, and we're used to doing meditations, but then there's always like somebody's, like for instance me, is sharing the words, then there's quiet, and then they're sharing the words, etc. And this time it will be a little different, so there will be music and words that you will see, you have to read. So that's different in the meditation. So it really becomes a contemplation more than anything. But I love to do that. So what am I using? What is this out of time idea? How did that start? And out of time has everything to do with not time, not time. So time is a construct, a human construct. So to be out of time is to be for a moment out of the human concepts and to stay out of that. So this class is then, say, a real possibility to take a look at, wait, there's somebody who can't hear me. You can't hear me. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Yes? Okay, so Julie, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. You might want to log in again. Anyway, so I'm going to continue, and the thing is, this out of time class is really for you to enter into the place, or to open up your consciousness for a different experience of yourself, something that has nothing to do with time. And now that is easier said than done, because we know that such thing exists, and it doesn't mean that you directly enter into it whenever you want. So there is something there that is, there's something there that we might want to take a look at to come to a different understanding or undoing of what we're thinking. Like if you don't know what the obstacle is, you might just hang in there and take that with you wherever you go, and still be not having experiences of being out of time. So this is a very short way of saying what we're doing here. And so I'm not using specifically Joel, or using specifically this or that, or Course in Miracles or Bible. No, I'm using really like coming from my own experience with spiritual healing, coming from my own experience, inviting you to get deeply in touch with your own experience, not based on the past, but really about being present right here, right now. So this is something like it's continuously an opening. It's an invitation to open more and relax deeply into yourself. And whatever is going to be helpful for that is literally inspiring us to receive that. So that's why being in this class is in a certain sense a commitment, because you have to be present here. So it's like, okay, forget about your phone, forget about your telephone, forget about your house, your country, forget about all of it in this hour and a half that we're together. Because your presence determines how successful or how beautiful this class is. Like, you are absolutely important in being here, literally, not allowing your mind to wander away into ignorance, in fact, most of the time, and being sidetracked. So that is why it's really important to be present here, and however you do that. So some of us can concentrate easily by, or focusing inwardly easily with closing their eyes. Well, if you sit here for 1.5 hours with your eyes closed, it will be perfectly all right for me. If you feel like you have to move for it because of your bodily experience of yourself, do it. So it's like, this is your own healing center. This is your own spiritual healing session. And you are the one who is receiving this. And in that receiving, you give it away to everyone that's here and way beyond that. So that's why I say, like, your presence, your real presence here is really essential. Just like mine is too. It's like, it's essential for me to be completely here. And being completely here, also part of that is to let go of the past. Let go of what you think you cannot do. Let go of what you think you didn't work out, or what your concerns are at this point. Like, all this needs to go out of the way in order for you to have an expanded experience of yourself. And everything, every ingredient that I say share here is inspired to be a part of that, a support for that. And so I don't know what is exactly coming in that. So I will ask questions. I will do this and do that. Who knows what is going to happen? But the essence of it is, this is all being shared with you for the undoing of yourself, in terms of getting everything out of the way, to have an open mind, to become totally open and receptive, totally defenseless, and all that. So that is, that's, you can say the drill. I love to use that word for now. I don't know why, but it's like, that's the practice of spiritual healing in the first place. Now, here's the thing. To enter deeply into this quiet place, it can help to share this in a moment of quiet, and in a moment of maybe just music and words. So what I'm going to share with you in a moment is the, say, introductory meditation contemplation, where I use the words from Jesus as coming from, say, I am divine, from John. I am divine. I made a visual of that in combination with some music, and it takes about 6 minutes, and this we use just as a prayer, as a contemplative praying moment, to help you to go deep inside yourself. So that's what I'm going to pull up. So we will be quiet for a moment. All right. So there was our moment of quiet, our quiet time, and so to refer back to the words that we use, they are the words. It's like the words from Jesus. And like all this is coming from out of time. It's like this is your help coming from out of time. Like these words that are spoken. You can even say like even the words of Joel are coming out of time. Like that what really is inspiring you is from out of time, coming into your, say, human frame of reference. And that is an interesting idea, to stand still for a moment in that place. It's like, look at what is actually occurring in this spiritual class, or in this moment, or in the moments that you listen to a tape or are reading spiritual scripture. It's like you're actually directly connecting out of time for information, for inspiration that there will be, it will never be found in this world. In the world that you, say, perceive. So that you're in contact, in other words, you're in contact with out of time, with that what is beyond time and space. So that's how, say, common it is. But don't try to have any ideas within your conceptual frame about it, or you limit it to your conceptual idea about yourself, and that is not what it is. So when we read words from Jesus and saying like, as I have loved you, it doesn't make sense to try to translate it into examples of how Jesus has loved us or how Jesus is loving us. It's like that. If you would try to fit that into your limited frame of reference, it would lose all its meaning. So and this is good to know. So in other words, whatever is shared here has a very specific purpose. It is never exactly what it is referring to. Like the words are removed from truth. So I use them just to connect with you, as long as that is necessary. We use words, but words are like twice removed from the truth, and this is good to know too. So it's like when I'm talking about an experience, that is not what the experience is. If Joel is talking about the click, that is not what you think the click is. So you can wait for it for a long time, but that will never happen to you. So these things can help to move on in your spiritual awakening. Whatever you encounter, whatever you receive as spiritual inspiration has nothing to do with your ideas about it. In fact, connecting your ideas about it to it would lose it from what it was. Like it would just evaporate, in fact, as an experience of yourself. And so that's good to know. That's how I use words too. So it's like in this class I will use words to connect with you and to express something, but that will never directly be what it is. So I made that point. But that's really essential. This is of course the same when you read or when you listen to Joel or any kind of spiritual inspiration. Doing the daily lessons of A Course in Miracles, it is referring to something. It is not what it is on paper, so to speak. So never take it, in that sense, never take it literally, but let it inspire you, let it tell you what it means. That makes sense. So that's the same here. So interesting parts then, questions that come up, that arise in becoming completely open and receptive to spiritual healing. One of the first things that occur is the fact that you think that you need to do something for it, or that you have to study for it, or that you have to conform to certain practices in order to receive it. And if you think that, then that will it be for you. So So that's the same as when Joel, for instance, uses the word nature of error. Like, you have to understand the nature of error. This is something that we're going to take a look at in a certain sense, because it's an essential part in the awakening to know that, like, what is the nature of error. But you see that whatever he's referring to, for instance, has not directly to do with what you think it is. So it's like it always appears as, and this is an essential thing, it appears as something. Error is never the thing, the person or the situation, but it appears as that. So this is very fundamental spiritual healing theory or practice, if you want, to be aware of that. So that means that, okay, I see, for instance, a sick body. Is that a sick body? Is that like my confirmation that I'm perceiving error? No, it is the confirmation that something is appearing as an error. So that gives you the freedom to make it real, for one thing, or not. And in spiritual healing, we don't make that real. We say, no, that cannot be it. It appears that way. But now we already know more about that. We know how to deal with this, in the sense of we're not going to confirm it. So that takes you out of the bondage of space and time. So that basically takes you out of time. It dislodges from time. See how familiar that is to you? So this is just to mention that. And another part, of course, that is always coming up in spiritual teaching is the idea of illumination. It's like, what is that, illumination? Am I illumined? Is my mind illumined? Joel gives us some questions for that too. It's like, if this and this and this, you're just completely tied into the human frame of reference. You're not an illumined mind, or whatever it is. So you can self-check it. But I don't want to do too much of an analysis here. But these themes will come up in this class too, because you have to deal with it. Like, where's this leading to? What is? We know these ingredients. I call them subjects. We know these subjects that are related to spiritual teaching, but what is it exactly, and how do you do that? How would you arrive there? Or when can you say to yourself, recognize in yourself, this is the case, this I can trust, this is guidance, or this is the voice of ego, or whatever that is. So the fine-tuning for that is really something that we have to take a look at, in order to come to the pure receiving of the spiritual healing practice. And when I say spiritual healing practice, what I mean is to come to a spiritual experience yourself, because that's also what we are referring to. So another essential part that I actually want to start with is the idea, what is your starting point? Where do you find yourself? And I set it up as kind of an assignment for the participants here, like an assignment that I sent you in an email. Like, where do you find yourself? Can you give us a reflection of that? Can you give us an example of that, how that is looking right now? And we're going to take a look at that later. But the essence of what I'm actually asking of you to take a look at is then this. It's like, it is essential that you know where you find yourself. Not that you have to do a lot of analysis for it, but it's more like you can come to an admission, like you can say to yourself, well, this and this and this is occurring in my life, and I'm still very much concerned with these themes in my life, and I don't really know how to deal with it. It's like, that's good to be open and honest about, to discover for yourself, where do I find myself in this spiritual awakening? Not that your evaluation is so important, but just as a starting point for yourself. It's like, what happens, for instance, what happens when I meditate? What happens? What is actually the occurrence? What am I experiencing when I close my eyes? And when I do this a couple of times a day, or when I read scripture, am I aware that I'm opening myself for light experiences, for direct communication, for feeling presence, for entering completely into this present moment? So, and how is that going? How far do I dare to go in there, so to speak? Like, am I willing to let myself be overwhelmed with the love of God? And to take a look at it as an analytic part of your spiritual healing practice is temporarily useful. Not that we keep doing that in order to dissect exactly where we find ourselves, but just to be aware of how you look at it yourself. Because how you look at it yourself can also be an obstacle to open up even further. To make that like, well, this never works, that never works, well. Like your negative idea about yourself could be a block to the awareness that it is available to you no matter what. It is not up to you to, you can only do so much in that sense. It's like you can be open and then you wait. And then whatever happens, that is it. And that's perfectly all right. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not that you have to be in another place than you find yourself. So these are just some things to start with, but very essential in your spiritual healing practice for yourself. So, and then another part, since we're looking at ourselves, like another part is, of course, the idea that you are the main character here. It's like, no, of course, your experience is really important. Your experience is really important. But don't forget that whatever you are perceiving is a temporal reflection, it's not a fact. So it's a temporal reflection of what you are thinking, in fact. It's not anything else than that. It's like what Joel says in The Nature of Error. It's an appearance as, like, my life looks like this. Or I see that my existence looks like this. And this is another part to deal with in your spiritual awakening, that's for one thing. And that is, so how do you place that whole layer of self-concept or self-idea, how do you place that in your experience of yourself? Like, what place does that have, is in fact what I'm asking. It's like, what place does that have? Like, do you see that as an essential part where you are going to prove that your spiritual idea about yourself is right? So what do I exactly mean with that? So the one thing I mean with that is the fact that you see things about yourself and in your life, what you call your life or your existence, the things that you see are actually not facts. They're temporary reflections. Like, it's a temporary thing that can change in an instant. You have another idea about yourself, it will already look different. Or you have accepted a part of yourself and suddenly that is not a problem anymore. These kind of things. So that is good to know too. Like, but how much do you let this layer of self-concept determine where you think you find yourself in your spiritual awakening? Like, do you see that the reflections that you get are actually showing you nothing really like as a spiritual development, but more like a total drama, or who knows what you experience. And are you using that to, in fact, judge yourself about where you find yourself? Like, well, that didn't work out, that didn't work out. No, I'm really not good at this at all. Maybe I'm not trusting God at all. Like, all these things that you can think about this existence, you can use against yourself to attack yourself, in fact, to continue the war against yourself. And thinking that that is a necessary part of your spiritual awakening to conquer that. That would be the same as locking yourself up in a monastery and thinking that that is an actual support to your spiritual awakening. Or thinking that any kind of decision that you hold about it will improve it. See, as long as you hold ideas like that about this layer of consciousness, the superficial layer of the human existence, as long as you use that against yourself, or as yourself, like identified with it as yourself, then that will be it for you. Like, then you will have that experience for you. Why am I saying this? It sounds like I make it complicated to express to you the opportunities that are right in front of you. Like, that is the thing that I'm actually getting to. It's like the opportunities here are limitless, are not bound by your ideas about yourself if you don't let them. So there's a real key for you in that, and I see this. It is like a burden if you don't do that, a burden for yourself. So I see this a lot happening in the moments that I meet with someone, like that always appears to be like an important part of the, in fact, of the ignorance, to just receive it and be open for the direct communication that's available for everyone without a sacrifice or price. And I know that the parts of sacrifice or price are a hot item in a sense, a hot item. So it's like the undoing of that might take a moment, but it will happen. Then you see, oh my God, the only thing that was in the way was just my idea about it, or the way that I thought about it was the only thing that was in the way. That's all, and nothing else. So that's really good to know. That's really good to know. So in other words, what we're doing here is a lot of cleanup in the meantime. A lot of cleanup just by bursting bubbles that you focused on. Like, oh my God, it's a big bubble. It's a really important bubble. And you see, boop, it pops and it is gone. And it's not there anymore. So, talking about the love that Jesus has for you, like in my experience of myself, the love that Jesus has for you is indescribable. The love that anyone has for you, the love that you practice, that you actively give away, is always overwhelming. It's never a limited form of expansion. So the only thing that misses when you don't experience that is you receiving it. So that means, like, if you really want to practice love, if you really want to practice love, you will dissolve in it. It will be overwhelming to you. So in this experience is what is being offered here too. Like, you have the capability of extending love to anyone. And we can practice this in class too. It's like, give your love away. Give everything away that you value. And then it can return to you. But you got to give it away. So that is really overwhelming. So the love that Joel has for you, when you turn on a tape, when you listen to him, when you're opening up to him, the love of him is overwhelming. Same with Jesus. Open up the Bible or open up A Course in Miracles. Read what it says. Open yourself up to receive what is given, and you will be overwhelmed with love. That is what love is. So the rest that you think is love is not what love is. That is nothing to do with it. So coming back to this layer of consciousness, conceptual layer of human existence, like love is not there. Everything that you ever have called love was not what that was not what true love is. So this layer of consciousness that I bring in over and over, because it is something that you have to start to see, is like, okay, I don't have to do anything with that in true essence. I don't have to do anything with that, but looking at it and recognizing it and seeing like, okay, that's not it. That gives way to an incredible opening, and that is the offering here. So there was something else I want to share about the layer of consciousness, but that will come up later for sure, because it is continuously coming back as the thing that you can recognize for yourself. And so if you do, something else becomes possible. But if you value this, so maybe this is the part that I'd love to share with you too. It's like we're practicing the presence. In order to have a full-blown experience of spiritual healing, this is the time, this is the place, this is exactly when it happens, when that happens too. So the moment of this, like the perfect moment now, is something we practice, like what we did with the prayer, for instance, and having a quiet time, allowing that to fully be in our awareness. So the moments that you hang out in that silence, in that stillness, in that in between, is really is really like the path that you're walking on in spiritual healing. It's exactly the path where you walk on. What I mean with that is one thought that arises that you give credit or start to follow with your attention takes you off of that. And so you can see the present moment as the moment where you can be free of fear, of say anger, of anxiety, of depression, of all these things that we think like, well, I hope that will never happen again. So to stay right here is your only chance, so to speak. It's your only chance to be free of all of that. And that's the line, in fact, that's the narrow path that we're walking on. So one thought away from it, you're centrifuged into pain and fear, and above all, time. Because time is what fear is. Time is what attack is. Time is, well, you can fill in the blank. You know all about time. Time is what disaster is. Time is what disease is. So coming to this present moment, you see, in fact, that it is cause and effect coming together. There's nothing that the past determines about now. There's absolutely nothing that it determines. So this moment is completely free of the past. It's completely free to be itself, to be your presence, your experience of yourself, no one else's. Like, this is all about you, receiving that for yourself, coming to a whole experience of presence. So let's practice that a little bit, just for now. It's like one question then is this. It's like, do you think that something from the past is determining anything that you're experiencing right now? Well, cut it. You know, it's like, okay, I'll cut, use my little scissors, like I cut that roots, I cut them. No, there's nothing to do with it. And this situation, no, nothing either. So it's like you do some real pruning. That's the word. You do some serious pruning. None of what came from the past has an impact on this like beautiful new present moment of yourself. None of it. And this moment has also nothing to do with a projected future or anything like that. Has nothing to do with it. So that's really great to remember. All right, so I don't want to exhaust you. We'll continue. So I'm going to play a little song to relax and to go even deeper into your own experience. And this is a spontaneous action. So you can see this as some kind of small break. So if you need to go somewhere, like a bathroom or whatever, this would be the time. But you can stay right here. So I have a song. This takes about 3.5 minutes. So just take your time. Practicing presence here. Like, yeah, this is happening now. This is happening now. Thank you.
sound that saved a wretch like me. But now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see.
So this is where we are. This is where this takes place. You know, this is exactly where this takes place in you. Wow, that's great. It's great to connect with. So this, you see, like nothing is exempt from it. All is included into it, and this is also during your day. It's like, don't let yourself be distracted by the appearances, because it appears as this. It is not. Error always appears as. It is not what it appears to be. So there's also no need for you to connect it with a reality. So, and that is why there's another way of looking at everything available for you. Like, just be patient, just stay right there, just come back to your presence, like, okay, it's occurring right here in me, it's not going anywhere, I take this with me wherever I go, I cannot lose that, it cannot be taken away from me. So here I am, my Christ mind with me, like I walk around wherever I go, it really doesn't matter, I stay right here, this is my practice, I stay right in the present moment, in my stillness, in connecting continuously, coming back to that. Spirit will help you to remind yourself of that. It's like it, but just listen and don't do anything in that sense that you're used to connect with the world. Let this be a whole new experience for yourself. This is in fact all the time the invitation. It's like, oh, here's what appears to be a sick person. Oh, I just got a call from what appears to be this and that. I just saw this person telling me that this and this happened somewhere. Like all that, everything. There's no exception. It is an appearance that you took serious for a moment. You took it serious. You really thought it was an actual occurrence. No, it is a reflection of an occurrence that never took place. Only in your imagination, really like that. It's like it's only happening in your imagination. You take it for real, what you're perceiving, and it is a reflection, it is not a fact. So here is like, while the way is way open to have a whole different experience of yourself, it is so available, no matter where you go. You know enough about it, you have enough experience, you read all the books about it, you listen to every talk about it, like you exactly know this. Now the next step, it's like you hear it, you start to accept that idea. Now you're going to come into the demonstration of it. It's like, I might as well just practice and apply what I've learned. Here it is. Okay, I walk this earth as the light of the world. I'm extending this light to everyone. What does that mean? It is not something that I sell or do or whatever. No, it's just me not confirming anything that is not the truth. Like, the only thing that I'm confirming in myself is my connection with what is. That is how I enter into the world. And when I forget, that's perfectly all right. I return back and start right here over again. Okay, this is it. Stay right here. I'm not going anywhere. Nothing can pull me out of this. Temporary it looks like that. That's fine. A mistake is quickly corrected when I know where to go. So in this class, you know where to go. When you've signed up for this, you know where to go for it. Otherwise, you would not do even this. So it's like, this is happening in me. Here it is. Here's my healing practice. Here's my healing center. It's right in me. God is here. Spirit is in me. I'm waiting for guidance. I'm allowing that to be my input. And whatever appears out there is not my input any longer. I set myself free of the bondage of space and time and cause and effect and dark and light and sick and well and poor and rich and all this duality that I got caught in, but doesn't serve any purpose than a delay of entering deeply into my happiness and joy. So that is really different. And you're ready for it. It's like you're ready to practice that. Absolutely. You've heard everything. So there's no escape in that sense anymore. You cannot fool yourself any longer that you don't have the appropriate pedals to do this. You have. So now it's time to stand up and demonstrate that to yourself, knowing that that is your truth. You don't have to prove anything, but you demonstrate it by just applying it and doing it. Despite all appearances, there are no exceptions really. It's like there's absolutely no exception. There's no exception to the love of God. This is what you are. You cannot rewrite that. You thought you could for a moment in your idea about yourself, but it didn't go anywhere. So it collapsed altogether. So that's the invitation, and that's the practice. So thank you so much for listening to this with me in this recognition of, yeah, that's the point. Yeah, exactly. This is where I recognize myself in my essence. Absolutely. So thank you for being here and doing that, joining with me in the practice of doing that. That's really great. So thank you for that. In class, we're going to continue with some sharing and some introduction to one another with the say the assignment that I gave by email to the participants. So I'm very curious what is there for us to enjoy, and it has everything to do with where you find yourself right now. So who knows how beautiful the similarities will be, or what new experiences will come to us. So anyway, thank you for everything, and see you soon. So I'm closing this recording.